I will be introducing a lesson I created via the SIOP model. With this lesson in mind, I centered it around a big question. The big question I am going to state is for fifth graders in a technology classroom. At my school, we do not have a curriculum, so everything I use for technology is what I have came up with myself. When creating this lesson, I went off of the text readings, which states that you should center your lessons around big questions, because using big questions helps English be more comprehensible, especially for your EL students. In my fifth grade technology class, I have one EL student. The big question I will be using is, what inventions could you not live without, and how do you think they were created? For this lesson, my language objective is students will be able to explain the invention to a partner. So they're going to think of an invention on their own, they're going to brainstorm and think of an invention, and then they're going to explain it to a partner in the classroom of why they came up with that invention and how it is useful. The content objective is students will be able to relate their invention to the world and why it's needed. So if they're in fifth grade, I don't want them just creating inventions that would help themselves. I want them to create inventions that could help a lot of other people so that they could be useful and people would want to purchase that invention. To start the lesson, I will also try to get as much prior knowledge as possible so it could help me pace and figure out where exactly the students need to learn. I'm going to start the section with a read aloud of a text from Epic, which is all about smart technology. After the read aloud, I'm going to ask them what are some famous inventions you can't live without. So I'm hoping that they're going to respond with inventions such as a cell phone or a computer. I hope they also think of inventions from their house, kind of like a refrigerator or the bathrooms, anything in the bathroom, like a shower or a toilet or a sink. From there, I want them to start brainstorming of things that they would need that they don't have in their lives right now. I would like to show on Google Classroom, this is where they will be, after they brainstorm with a partner, I'm going to be asking them to state their inventions on a Google Doc. So let me pull that up. So I'm asking them to submit a Google Doc with the following requirements. The document has to be double-spaced. It has to have a heading with a name, date, and title. It has to have an indented paragraph, so I'm asking them to type and use the tab key. And then I'm asking for 3 sentences. So my first sentence, they have to state what is their invention. The second sentence will be, how did you think of it? So did they think of it because there is a use for it in this world? And then, or if maybe they thought of it in the past and they're like, that would be a very good invention, and maybe they could tell me that. And then the last sentence is, how could it help? So I want them to explicitly state why that invention would be useful. While creating this SIOP model around this big question, it turned into more of a unit. I created 6 lessons, and each lesson will be one slide of a final presentation for the students. So with just this lesson number 1, it is still going with the language objective of explaining the invention to a partner. So I'm hoping that when my students are discussing with each other and talking, they could figure out, all right, maybe my invention I thought of sounded good in my head, but when I tell it to another student, it's not something that someone would purchase. And then back to the content objective, students will be able to relate their invention to the world around them and why it's needed. So other things I'm going to show in this lesson, I'm going to show commercials. So one commercial that I will be showing is a commercial for the Nintendo Switch. So in the Nintendo Switch commercial, in the advertisement, it's going to show a lot of mothers playing with their children. And I'm going to state, all right, Nintendo is trying to show you that the Nintendo Switch could be useful to families, especially mothers trying to bond with their children. So I'm going to say, all right, this invention is made for entertainment, but at the same time, it could be a communicative skill for families. So after I show that commercial and 2 others, I'm going to start asking them, all right, how would you start to sell that invention to the people around us in the world? So that would be more going into the unit. From there, I'm going to ask them to create a blueprint of their invention using Clicky, which is an application on the web. And then I'm going to be using Canva to create a flyer. And then they will also be going over the engineering design process, which is an entire cycle of the start of an invention to the end of the invention. When I show them the cycle, I'm going to be really showing them that inventions don't just go from point A to point B. When inventors are creating, they have to keep rethinking what they are doing and going back and fixing so that they can perfect an invention. And then from there, they'll have all 6 lessons embedded into one final presentation and then present it to the classroom. The last thing I want to point out would be key vocabulary that I would want my learners to be focused on. Just for lesson 1, which was asking them what inventions could you not live without, I want them to know invention, inventor, and engineering. Especially for engineering, that means just creating something from scratch, and then the engineers would sell that to people, or how they could find a use for it. And then from after every week with these lessons, an important part is the students presenting to the other students so that they could keep going back to like engineers and fixing it until they have a finished product that they are happy with. I hope this goes well, and I will keep sharing of what the students create and how they create it. And then the last thing I want to state is for this project, they'll be using their own Chromebooks. So they'll be using the applications Google Docs and Google Classroom and Google Slides. Thank you.